In American sports, a team's name usually serves as a geographic marker. You have the Detroit Pistons, referencing the auto industry, the Miami Heat, pointing to the climate, and the 49ers, grounding the team in local history. But if you look at the current Major League Soccer standings, that localized logic is almost impossible to find. Instead of mascots rooted in their cities, you see teams called Sporting, United, and Inter. Some even claim literal royal titles, originally granted by European monarchs. Many American franchises have moved away from their own naming traditions to adopt the aesthetics of the English Premier League, creating an identity crisis that has defined the league's growth. When MLS launched in 1996, the league did the exact opposite. The strategy was to lean fully into the aggressive, extreme branding of the 1990s to grab a mainstream American audience. This produced teams like the Dallas Burn, who took the pitch in uniforms dominated by a fire-breathing horse and jagged electric typography. The San Jose Clash wore these asymmetrical, multicolored kits, while the Tampa Bay Mutiny focused on a stylized pirate theme. This branding was engineered for new, casual spectators the league hoped to win over. However, for the global soccer purists the league also needed to attract, names like The Wiz or The Burn felt like plastic marketing gimmicks. As the league struggled to find its financial footing, leadership decided that the only way to gain credibility was to abandon the American mascot model and start mimicking the heritage of Europe. The new survival strategy was straightforward: drop the mascots and borrow words directly from the European Football Dictionary. DC United was one of the first to implement the United moniker, bringing the suffix to the US Capitol in 1996. In England, United carries a specific history. It usually refers to the literal merger of two rival clubs or the unification of a local workforce. In DC, it was chosen because it sounded formal and established. The search for borrowed authenticity reached a peak when a team in Utah decided to call itself Real Salt Lake. This diagram illustrates the problem. In Spain, the title Real was a royal honor bestowed upon clubs by King Alfonso XIII in 1920. In Sandy, Utah, there is no monarchy to grant such a title. These names were selected because they fit a specific broadcast aesthetic, even if they were completely divorced from their original meanings. Following this trend, Kansas City rebranded to Sporting to mirror Portugal, and Miami eventually adopted Inter from Italy. When Houston joined the league in 2006, they chose Dynamo, intended as a tribute to the city's massive energy and power industry. But in the context of European football history, the word dynamo has a very different connotation. As this chart shows, while Houston looks at the word through an industrial lens, across the Eastern Bloc, dynamo was the naming convention for clubs run by the Soviet secret police. In the rush to manufacture a global identity, the league accidentally adopted a naming convention tied to the secret police, moving further away from a brand that felt authentically American. By 2021, the tension between this corporate European-style branding and local fan bases finally became a public conflict. The owners of the Columbus Crew attempted to erase the team's historic Crew mascot and rebrand the club as the sterile Columbus SC. The response from the local community was immediate. Fans organized a stadium-wide protest to fight the erasure of their identity. The backlash was so intense and unified that within a single week, the owners were forced to reverse the decision and put the Crew name back on the logo. The victory in Columbus provided a clear warning for ownership groups. Local history, once it's been earned by the fans, is much harder to erase than a corporate logo. Out of this friction, a new model has emerged that successfully bridges the gap: the hybrids. Teams in the Pacific Northwest, the Sounders, the Timbers, and the Whitecaps, have found a way to balance both worlds. This equation shows the formula. They keep the historic American mascot from the 1970s and simply append FC to the end. It respects the geography of the city while using the global language of the sport, satisfying both the local fan and the international observer. Ultimately, sporting authenticity can't be found in a borrowed Spanish title or a stolen acronym. It is built only by embracing local culture, weird mascots and all.